LegacyMaker, the all sports network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
So you're giving it to Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he piggybacked off of his dad's name. The only difference is because there was a junior at the end and not a senior.
Yes, and
Okay.
because the fact is, Drew.
Point with, oh my God! I had Miami Heat winning last night. I was upset too when they lost. This with you because of the fact of what you.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the in or out sports debate with your hosts,
Wole, Akinso, with the Urban Sports Scene,
and Drew Willingham.
Hello, everyone. We are live with another episode of the In or Out Sports Debate. I'm your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's special returning guest from the Urban Sports Scene and the host of All Burgundy and Gold Everything. It is Mr. Wole Akinso. Welcome back to the show, brother.
I'm glad to be on, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Anytime. We got some great topics to go over that we both love, with Washington sports. Some good news, some bad news, some departures, some arrivals, a bunch of everything has happened. You've only been gone like 3 weeks, but so much has happened in that time frame. And speaking of, we've had some acknowledgement that we got to give, and that is to the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
And here on the In or Out Sports Debate, we give acknowledgement to the previous participants here in the Vault of Fame. And we start off with 1 through 11, Rob Johnson. Episode 12, Tyrone Montgomery Jr. 13, Corey Mann of the Undisputed Champions. 14, the Golden Boy, Greg Anthony of the Squared Circle independently. Episode 15, Tyrone Montgomery Jr. returned. Episode 16, Brian Snow of Snowman in the Morning. Episode 17 was Mr. Rollback, Darrell Owens. Episode 18, Brian H. Waters of the Wrestling Realm. Episode 19, LegacyMaker Sports Network's own James Brown was here to fill the shoes in on a last-minute sub-in. Episode 20, the man who's here today, Mr. Wole Akinso, was here for episode 20. Episode 21, we had Xander Anthony's son of the Golden Boy, Grant Anthony, who was here for the second ever NBA edition. Definitely great historian at 12 years old, just turned 13 recently. Happy belated birthday to you, Xander. Thank you. Episode 22, Wally of the Undisputed Champions, 1/2 with Corey Mann, who was here previously. Episode 23, we had Paul Schofield, Pisco. He was supposed to be here for episode 19. Got to rub it in because he came back for episode 23. Episode 24, Corey Mann of the Undisputed Champions returned for his second episode, as well as Joe Dillard Jr. was here for his first episode of episode 25. BCQ, Becca Cottingham-Quinby, he was here for episode 26 for the first ever all NASCAR edition here on the In or Out Sports Debate. Episode 27, LT Lamont Thomas was here. Episode 28, James Brown returned for his second episode. Episode 29, the first ever Trios edition, Darrell Owens and Jeremiah Quimby were here for the first ever Trios edition for episode 29. And episode 30, our second ever professional wrestler was here. Ellis Pollard of the Richmond area was here for episode 30. But we are here at episode 31 tonight for Wole Akinso's return, as well as you can check us out on these platforms right here, as well as the LegacyMaker Sports Network, and on the audio platforms here for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Google Podcast, Anchor, and you can also download the episodes individually on iTunes. We are back. We are back here on the screen. Welcome back here to episode 31. And guys, we have a fun-packed 6 rounds with a bonus this time. And with that, let's go ahead and take this into round 1.
Round 1.
And here in round 1, let's start it off with some controversy, my man. Deshaun Watson's suspension is not enough punishment for his previous unlawful behavior. How do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this?
It's not. I'm out. think it's enough. I think 6 games. You got the arbitrator who came into it. He missed a lot. He missed the most of last season. I think that in the grand scheme of it, that it's enough. I know a lot of people. I'm not on. A lot of people would disagree with me, and that's cool. I'm fine with it. I like being. I'll be the black sheep of the whole thing, but I think it's enough.
You think it's enough?
Yes.
You think it's enough? Man, oh man, oh man, I'm in. I still can't believe you. I'm doing it again. Supplement what you should be saying in, and we should have 2 ends. That's why I had to do it for us both. Double ends, even though you're out. I got to give my take on this. Dude, that's why they're appealing it. They don't feel like it's enough. Like even the NFL is saying 6 games is not enough for this dude who wanted to play slap and tickle on the sign with a few dimes. You can't be doing that, especially when you got Vince McMahon and the Me Too movement and everything that's been going on over the last half decade, my man. You've got to check yourself. No, he is definitely guilty. It is not enough. You've got to set an example. And last year was not a punishment, him sitting out. He sat out because he didn't want to play for the Texans. So for that, I've got to go in. I've got to disagree, and I'm sorry, but I'm in.
No, it's fine. It's fine, and I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like in terms of like of what we've seen in the past in the NFL with things like this, and some even worse. It's about fair. I mean, I can name examples, but I'm not gonna put anybody out there. But there are examples of far worse, and they've gotten about 4. Maybe 8 games, but not this whole thought about the whole season. Some of these individuals that we like and we talk about have had far less games. So I guess that's my thing. And it's been worse. And then we talk about sexual harassment. There have been far worse situations where some individuals barely miss games.
Money pays,
and they were serial offenders too.
If he's meant to get off, he'll pay his way out of it because money talks, BS walks. So if he doesn't have enough to pay for it, especially with that contract he just signed, if he wants to not have the suspension for the whole year, that's the reason why the Browns structured his contract the way they did. Yeah. They paid him the bare minimum for this season, and all of his money is after this year because they figured whether it was an entire season or a partial season, he was going to be serving a good amount of time this year. And 6 games is not enough, man. That's why I got to go in. That's why they are appealing it now. And it's going to change. Yeah. He's going to serve way more than 6 games. I'd say probably 12. I don't know about a whole season, but they're at least going to double it.
Yeah, they're gonna get with that. They wanted 12 to like the entire season. That's what the league wanted. You just an arbitrator saw it differently. Saw it the way that I kind of saw it. But it's okay though.
Yeah, because now that Baker's gone, you don't really have anybody else that can carry you into the playoffs. So their season's done regardless without them. So you're not gonna come back.
I would say this, that depending on if it was 6 games, yes, I think if it was 6 games, I think they would have a better shot because their team is still based on running the football. Got good running backs. They have good talent on defense, so they can win. If they play a particular style of football, they can maintain. They have Nick Chubb, still one of the best running backs in football. You can lean on him. We see what happens with the Tennessee Titans. If you can lean on a workhorse, you can get you, but so far and play solid defense, and they got dogs on defense. So I'm just saying, if they want to play, but they have to change their style of football. If they change their style of football, they can maintain. That's with 6 games. I'm not sure with 12. To me, I'm not sure with 12, but with 6 games, you can maintain.
I just disagree on that, man. That's why we started this one out hot. We gotta take this into round 2 with the hotness, man. Let's get it.
Round 2.
And with that being said, man, Brian Kerrigan's retirement with the Commanders should have happened 1 year ago. How do you feel about that? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah, he should have retired with Washington last season. He was pretty much done if you watched him the last couple of seasons in terms of being that impactful defensive end. He could have came back and like play the season, to be honest, if you wanted to. But I felt like going to Philadelphia, that was meaningless. Should have stayed with the team. So he should have made sure he was forever a Washington Redskin commander.
Yeah, considering what I have in store for you here in a few minutes, I'm in on this as well. He spent 10 years with the team, setting records, was a great leader for the teams that actually had success during the time that he was there. He doesn't really have much he can praise on with the coaching turmoil and everything that was going on upstairs that we found out years later. We always knew that there was a dumpster fire waiting to happen with all that. We didn't know how bad it was. So for him to actually carry this franchise on the high notes that it did, I got to pay a lot of respect to him. And I felt like it should have happened a year sooner. Seeing him in the Eagles uniform not only was a stab in the back, but at the same time, what did he even do? I guess it was one of those situations where he's trying to prove where he still has something left and says still has something left to give. But, he had a few tackles, but he should have left on the higher note with the football team, whatever you want to call them now, the Commanders. His time frame, he will always be a Redskin. He was one of the last Redskins, in my opinion. Okay, so I got to give that to him. We're starting a new era with this Commanders/football team, since the pandemic. So for one of the final eras he was a part of something special. And we both are in on it. And with that being said, I have a special 6-minute highlight reel for you guys on Ryan Kerrigan.
The Washington Redskins select Ryan Kerrigan.
Eagle double G. Eagle double C. Hope you're ready for the next episode.
And that is the Ryan Kerrigan highlight video that was made by the NFL Hype channel on YouTube. You can subscribe to them at NFL Hype, which that's how you can check them out. And with that being said, that's 2 rounds we've gone through. We do have some breaking news we actually have to cover before we get into round 3. That breaking news is this. Tomorrow we have our our third ever Double Debate Tuesday. Episode 32, the Golden Boy Greg Anthony returns for the second time since his first appearance on the episode 14 edition of the In or Out Sports Debate. He is here tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Central, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then tomorrow evening, we have Cody Stewart joining for episode 33 here to discuss a lot of New York-based sports. And again, you can check us out here on the audio platforms listed below: iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Google Podcast, as well as Anchor.fm. And guys, we have had a great start to the show. We do have round 3 to get into. Let's check that on out.
Round 3.
Here with round 3, we'll go ahead and go to another Washington team, but this time in the NBA. Collin Sexton would be a franchise-changing addition if the Wizards were to make the deal. With this being a team that you definitely cover well, Wole, what do you think about this? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm in. I like Collin Sexton. I've been a big fan of him because he's a competitor. If you watch what this team had a few years back with John Wall, of a guy who was willing to compete at the highest level and go at the best point guards in the game, you see that in Collin Sexton. His jumper still needs a little work, but he's getting better. He's tenacious on defense, and his thing is to compete. If you ever watched clips of him back in the day, even in college when he was in Alabama, how basically playing defense would get up in you. He's just that type of player. I think he'd be great for the Wizards. He'd be a good acquisition, a younger point guard, and somebody I think that could play well with Bradley Beal.
I definitely agree with that. I'm definitely in on this as well. You stole the words right out of my mouth, and you even brought him up, Bradley Beal. That'd be a great addition for him. Somebody with youth, somebody that could help move the ball around to not only the bigs down the post, and also they could be really good with defense, moving the ball around. I mean, he's not like LeBron with the assist, but the kid knows how to move the ball around. Got to give him his props when due. He's definitely good behind the arc too. I watched some highlights on him. I tried to, if I didn't have enough time, but I wanted to have like a little small highlight, little clip of him to show. But I figured we would both be in on this, but I just didn't have enough time. But there's some other highlights here and a few I think that you're definitely going to be glad that we got here in a second. But with Collin Sexton, though, highlights or not, this kid would definitely be a great fit for this team. And I got to go in, and it's something they need some type of energy to come to this team with Bradley Beal.
No, I'm with you. I think that's a move they should make. I know they were rumored, to be interested, but I think that's the type of player. I know they just got Monty Morris, and they probably want to start him. But I just think that if you get Collin Sexton, he's a guy you start. Monty Morris has always played. He's played the bench in Denver, so he's used to doing that, and he can still give minutes. He's a real productive point guard, backup point guard. I think Sexton is I think he's underrated. I think he's. I know because the kid they got in Cleveland that they like a lot, but I think Sexton is very underrated. I'm talking about Garland in Cleveland. Everybody likes Garland. Garland's good, but Sexton is highly underrated.
I mean, maybe he can come through some type of package deal for him. Who knows? But if they brought Garland with them, but who knows?
They can't get Garland here. They can't get Garland, but they're not getting Garland. But yeah, they can get Sexton if they work hard enough.
Sometimes you got to pay to play, my man. That's the only thing that sucks with that. But but speaking of comments and paying to play, we do have some comments here at the midway point here with the Medial Mayhem to acknowledge from the fans. Here with the Medial Mayhem, we have a bunch of comments we need to get through from the fans. And we will start off with Darrell saying, Drew and Wole. Darrell is here to comment. He's all excited for us to get this episode, man. He loves us, and he was pumped up for it, man. So, Chosen One's here saying, Wole, I guess he was watching from episode 20 before. We got a not enough for Watson. So he's sticking up for me, saying there's not enough for Watson here. Give him credit where it's due with that. I guess he's with me on the 12. Chosen One, go ahead and say in the comments down below who you actually believe, what you believe. If you don't think 6 is enough, do you think that I was right with about 12, or we already know?
I think he thinks you're right. I think he's saying that it's more.
No, he doesn't agree with you. We know that, but does he think
that
12 is right?
Oh,
should he get more?
It should be.
Should he get more? Do you think it should be more, Chosen One? Let's see. Since you're such bright and you've been commenting on the videos here lately, I want to see what your opinion here is, CO. Let's see what you got. Evan Clay has a bunch of laughing emojis. Guess he was laughing at my take on Watson. I guess with me going off on Watson, it's about the time frame where I was going off at the 8:20 mark. So there's that. Evan says, what about the marijuana guys getting suspended for an entire season versus this? He's got a good point.
Very good point.
Very good point.
You also got
smoke the lettuce and you get a year. Yet,
yeah.
you do some bad things behind some massage type deals.
Or Ridley, you know what I mean? Or Ridley, who got the whole season for gambling, but he wasn't really betting on games. I don't really get that, but yeah. So I'm with There again, the NFL has a problem of how they hand their suspensions. I've always said that there's no consistency, because you can always look at a situation and say, well, this person did this and he didn't get this amount of games, or he got fewer games. You know what I mean? The problem with the NFL punishing system is there is no consistency, and that's the problem. Also, I would say is that when the NFL is the main arbitrator, when they do go outside, then they come back to Roger Goodell, who wants to throw that suspension down anyway. It's a fair situation if you're the NFLPA and the NFL to have a person in the middle to give out the penalty. And I didn't have an issue with it because you had somebody in the middle. But now you're going back to the NFL. The NFLPA is going to be like, oh, this isn't fair because we agreed to have somebody in the middle. But again, it's in the agreement that Roger Goodell gets the final say so. It's dumb on the NFLPA's part, but he has the final say so. But where's the fairness in that situation where a lot of suspensions that we just talked about, Roger Goodell hasn't been fair on? You know what I mean? So
no, you're right.
It is what it is. But the problem is the inconsistency, though. The problem is the inconsistency. I agree.
Yeah, most definitely. Evan then follows up with, who are we to tell a guy when he is done playing? That's his choice all day. He's getting all upset about us with the
Ryan
Kerrigan. Yeah, but
you know when you're done. You know when you're done. Don't know when it's done. I'm not mad at you about getting a check, but you know when you're done.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, calm down there, Evan. I'm going to video record this, and I'm going to send this to you. It's one of my teammates from the baseball team I was telling you about. But he's funny, though. He says, Commanders equals Redskins. Yes, we know.
Oh.
It's like the license plate right behind my head. We definitely know, my man. We know. Nice Ryan Kerrigan tribute. So the chosen one definitely agreed with that.
It was.
Sexton would be a cancer to the team, like KD in Brooklyn.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. No. Collin work. He plays hard, man. He plays hard. If you put him in a role where you put him, he'll be all right. One thing you can't deny with that kid is he puts it all out there on the court. LeBron was a fan of him too, I believe, because of his effort, the energy and effort he plays. The dude plays hard. You can call him a cancer, but he plays hard. There's a lot of dudes who don't play hard in the NBA. That dude plays hard.
You know what, chosen one? You know what I think? I think that if Collin Sexton saw you as a person on the street right now, this is what he would do to you. That's what I think Collin Sexton would do to you, chosen one. He would just smack it down on you verbally, then go out there and have a double-double. Or hell, since Russell Westbrook can't do it anymore, he'd go out there and have a triple-double and do it in your face, chosen one. Especially out there on the streets, he would do it. Oh, chosen one has coming back saying with what I was saying, 2 years on Watson. He says 2 years on Watson is what 2-year suspension. It's a long ass time, chosen one.
I don't know, man.
He's already been gone a year, but that was not like we acknowledged earlier. That was not for this. That was because he didn't want to play for the Texans last year. But this is completely different. 6 games is not enough. We definitely know you acknowledge that. 12 is what I feel like would be at least be fair. A whole year, I guess, at most. 2 years from now? No, I can't say 2 years, chosen one. That means him be gone 3 years from the game. Come on now. Like that's a little bit much, chosen one. And then he follows it up with The Rock says. So chosen one definitely was a fan of that, I guess, being the layup to smack down on him. But
who isn't a fan? Who isn't, though? It's The Rock.
Exactly. With that, we've covered through all the comments here, midway point. Let's go to round 4.
Round 4.
And here with round 4, let's take this to the by the numbers segment. And with that being said, this one is Reggie Miller is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 31 in all of sports. And with that being said, how do you feel about that, Wole? Are you in or are you out on that?
Sadly, I'm out, but I want to be in. Reggie is like one of my favorite basketball players, so it hurts me to say that. The first I was going to say in, but when I had to think about it, Greg Maddux rocked the number 31. Greg Maddux was one of the best pitchers of my lifetime, and and in terms of in different tenures, I mean, he was Chicago Cubs, he was great. And with the Braves, obviously a lot of people remember him with the Braves. He was great. So Greg Maddux, in terms of what he did with the pitching as a pitcher, especially with his 2-seam fastball, be able to spot it from from look like it's going directly to you and again hitting that inside corner of the plate. I had to say Greg Maddux is like the greatest 31 of all sports.
With that being said, I definitely agree with this. I'm out on this as well. And it warms me very much to know that you said Greg Maddux, that you came to the table with Greg Maddux, because I was ready with an arsenal to unload had you not, and especially this 10-second highlight clip. Look at the movement on that.
His 2-seam was crazy.
That is insane. I just got to play that 10 seconds again. That is wild. The movement. That's his 2-seam.
His 2-seam is amazing. His 2-seam was probably the best. I think his 2-seam is the pitch that made it sexy for a lot of individuals to use a 2-seam fastball because of his movement. Because it would, especially for a left-handed hitter, it would look like it was coming directly at you. Then it would just slide back on the inner part of the plate, and no one could really do nothing with it at that particular point in time. Like no one could do anything with that pitch. You know what I mean? He's a master of control. I mean, it wasn't even about, he threw about 92, 93, but he was a master of control.
It's actually odd when you look through his stats. He pitched for 22 years, right?
Mhm.
Had a little bit of he wasn't as good as he was in the middle towards the latter part of his career at the beginning. He had to kind of find his way at the beginning, not as drastically as Randy Johnson had to find his way, but pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so he started off with the Cubs. He was in 86 is when he started. He retired in 08. But in all that time, it just mind boggles me that he only had 8 All-Star appearances in 22 years. And all those years he was dominant. And it was from 88. He got it in 88, 92, 94 through 98, and then just two in 2000. So, but he was still pretty dominant towards the latter part of his career. You know, he spent 11 seasons with the Braves. He spent a good portion of the beginning of his career with the Cubs, and a couple of years after he left the Braves, going back to the Cubs. Was in LA for a couple stints too. So, I mean, he did pull his time, but he's definitely a top 10 pitcher when you look at all the stats in all of the years and all the pitchers and all the careers. And just with this one pitch alone, I got to do it one last time. And because we both disagreed, we actually unlocked the first installment of this.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell no to the no. Bishop Bullwinkle is in the house for the first time since we both actually disagreed on something. But with that being said, you know, we can't even argue against that with Greg Maddux. Reggie Miller was a great basketball player, did great things for the Pacers. But Maddux has a championship over the fact. That's the biggest thing. They both had long careers.
Yeah.
And Reggie Miller did great enough to where he's a Hall of Famer, but not enough to say the best ever that wore ever 31. Yeah.
And arguably you can make the argument that Maddux may be the best pitcher of his era. You can make that argument. Pitcher. We talk about positions, right? You can't say that Reggie, and I love Reggie. I think Reggie's one of the most clutch players ever, but you can't make the argument that Reggie was the best two guard in his era.
Absolutely. And in most cases with the In or Out Sports Debate, we have 5 rounds, but in this one, we actually have a special bonus round. Let's get to that with Washington Sports Continues.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And with that surprise, which was a big one, actually, to a lot of fans, and especially the way that it happened and the amount of pieces that moved in this trade. Wole, what do you think about this when it comes to the Juan Soto trade? Was a better deal overall for the Washington Nationals. How do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'll say I'm in. I'll go in. They were going to lose Soto. Obviously, he didn't want to be there. But you know, you get a boatload of prospects. You get the kid Gore, who was a starter for the Padres. They moved him to the bullpen because he was struggling a little bit, but he's a starter. And he was showing a lot of promise early in the season. They got a bunch of top tier, you know, prospects from the Padres. The Padres have one of the better farm systems in baseball, period. So, and then you Voit, who used to play for the Yankees as a power hitter. They wanted Hosner, but Hosner didn't want to come to the Nats, which is understandable. But you have Voit, and I think that's a solid player. I just think that with the prospects, you have a good opportunity to start over, and they need to. The question would be: is the manager the right manager to groom these young players? That's another discussion. But I think they did right. You know, they did right. It's probably, I think, it's the biggest deal of, you know, in terms of getting prospects in the history of baseball, something like that. So I think it's a good move for the Nats.
It's definitely, you can go either way with this, but for the sake of argument, I'm going to go out. All right, when you think about the pieces they traded, when you think about prospects, the key word prospects, and today we just don't know what a prospect is anymore, the way that scouting and the way things have advanced and stuff. You know, Luke Vogt, like you pulled up, then that's a good one that's been struggling or kind of been moved around or whatnot. Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, Robert Hassell, James Wood, and Harlan Susano were all the ones that were being traded from the Padres. And when you think about the big one, Hosmer was the one that was holding up for a little bit, you know, right before the 4 o'clock deadline. I believe it was like right around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It finally broke on that deadline day. And it was big for Soto to actually be moved, but he still had 2 years left on his deal. The longer that the Nationals waited, the less they would get. And this was actually a big, big deal that they actually got at this point in the season for him. Will it pay off right now to where they can go on a run? No, but that actual management of the Nationals is not as great as it once was. And with the mismanagement, with the actual signing deal of Strasburg, like we've talked about previously, and the other moves that they've made, I just don't think that this is going to be a good move for them in the long haul because, again, we don't know what a prospect truly is anymore. So when it comes to that, I've got to go out. And for the fact we can't agree on everything, so I got to go somewhere with it, and I'm going out. So with that,
it's understandable.
That's how I feel with Soto. Plus, when you speak of this, plus maybe to help out your argument, I actually do have this clip right here. It took Juan Soto a little bit, but he finally got his first hit of the season with the Padres this last weekend. Here's a little 15-second jab of that.
Line to right and a base hit for Soto. Heading first to third is Kim. And the Padres have runners at the corners. The first hit in the Padres uniform for Juan Soto.
Yeah, it took him a little bit, but he finally got it this past weekend.
He's gonna be fine. Like Juan Soto is gonna be fine. Like he's a spectacular player. I mean, they got Josh Bell too. That's he was having a great year, a really good year. I won't say great, but real good year, hitting over 300. But I mean, the Nats need to make a move, man. Do they want to stay? It sucks. They lost, they lost Harper, they lost Rendon, they lost Turner. Now they lost Soto. Max Scherzer. They've lost a lot of great players that helped them win that World Series. But if somebody doesn't want to be there, you offered him $440 million, and he was like, "Nah, I don't want it." Then it is what it is. You got to do the best you can do to make a deal happen for your organization. So they did. But you're never gonna, to your point, they're prospects. So you're never gonna get the short. It's hard to say you're gonna get a short thing like like Juan Soto within those prospects, but. You bulked up on a bunch of good prospects, and hopefully a few out to be impact players. And if they are, then we look back on this trade, we'll be like, okay, the Nats did what's best for the team.
With that, it's hard to go against that, and we shall see in time how those prospects pay off. Will they be other trade pieces that could be moved for somebody else? But the way that this management of this team's going, it's not quite as bad as the Commanders, but I still don't have as high hopes for the Nationals as I do, for, I would say, the Padres at this point. The Padres are trying to make a run. Ooh, Padres are stacked. If I had time to get that graphic ready for this, I was trying to have, I didn't have no time. I was trying to get these highlights and stuff, but with that being said, they've got a stacked team. Them and the Yankees made some big moves during the trade deadline. So
Padres stacked next year because then the Tatis comes back.
Yeah, and the Yankees. I'm a Braves fan. I'll give you that, but I got to at least acknowledge the Yankees getting rid of Joey Gallo, getting rid of that deal, getting Benintendi to help them out in the outfield. They're going to be the American League team that you got to beat, and then the National League is going to be between the Padres and the Mets. That's my take right now in August.
This year, you think this year? You don't think you think they're better than the Dodgers? Because the Dodgers still they give them right. The Dodgers are kind of beating up on them, right? They beat up on them over the weekend.
It all depends on health, and I mean, them having Freddie Freeman's a big addition to the Dodgers, but that addition in Juan Soto, the youth that he has over Freeman, I feel like that just elevates the team. They're only like 3 or 3.5 games back when they made the deal.
They're missing pitchers that they can't, like the Dodgers have a pitching staff. Padres don't really have a great pitching staff at the moment. I mean, but they have Manny Machado. Soto, Josh Bell. But if we look at the Dodgers, man, they're stacked too. Like when you look at that Dodgers, I know everybody gets, when they get that trade and that big move, but the Dodgers are stacked. Like they are like what the Yankees, have been over the last some odd years in terms of paying for the best players in the world. I mean, you just talked about Freeman. Freeman's in our age is one of the best hitters, period. Like in our age of baseball. You got Mookie Betts. You got Trey Turner. We just talked about the Nats. You got Trey Turner. Like, sheesh. They got studs and they got pitchers. They got some of the best. It's hard, man.
They just got to get there, man. They just got to get there. And are they going to beat the Dodgers out for the number 1 spot in the West? No, they're not going to, because right now, currently, they're 15.5 games back in the NL West because the Dodgers 75-33. The Padres are 61-50.
So
However, they've tied at the number 1 spot with the Phillies because the Phillies are 60-48. The Padres are 61-50, and they have the tiebreaker over them because of the record against them for the wild card. So technically, right now they're tied. And if today ended, the Phillies and the Padres would have a 1-game playoff to get in because the Braves and the Mets.
Wild cards now this season, though. There's 3 wild card spots this season.
Yep. Yeah, and the Braves will be in there. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's basically so
how are they doing that? Okay. Actually, how are they doing it? Is it 3? The first spot gets the wild card. The second spot, the 2 and the 3 have to play it out. The playing game. Okay,
playing game. Yeah, that's basically how they've been factoring that extra 3rd spot. Because they kind of have to have the 2 forming into 1 to go against the way the format normally is. So it's basically worked into you get the play-in game, and then it's back to regular format.
Gotcha. Okay, I got it now.
But with that being said, with the Juan Soto trade, it was a lot of moving pieces. It was definitely big for baseball to have that happen. But speaking of big for baseball, not big for baseball, but big for football, for this team, for the Commanders, this is what we have for the final round.
Final round.
And here with the final round, Antonio Gandy-Golden's retirement was the best move for his own career going forward. How do you feel about this, Wole? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm out. I like this kid. I've always liked this kid. I like his physical tools, his size, what he did in Liberty. It's a shame that, the first season he had injuries, the hamstring, and also lost some confidence. So then, that kind of hindered him. And then, the following season, he was cut. That's hard for him to make the team. It's hard for him to make the team. He's on practice squad. So this team and this regime kind of gave up on him, which it is what it is. People tend to do that. And then they moved him to tight end. So usually what that happens when you move somebody tight end, that they're on the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the spots on that team, because you go from wide receiver to tight end. So I just felt like this team he saw the writing on the wall with this team. But I think that he could have tried to find to another team and just to see if he could be able to kind of re-up his football career. But I think it's way too early for him to retire. If there's anything if there's no health implications in terms of concussions or whatnot. So I would have loved for him to kind of try to keep playing.
Absolutely. I agree with this wholeheartedly. I'm out on this as well when it comes to this. He was 24 years old. I mean, he's only 24 years old. Yeah, he has plenty of time to go back to college, but I don't agree with this. I feel like, the day that the news came out, I was pretty much saying this.
Get the fuck out of here!
When I was also saying this. And then this lady also popped up in my head. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody. When she's going off in your head and all that stuff's happening, you should be saying this, and this one theme should be popping up in your head, Antonio Gandy-Golden. It should be this. This should be popping up in your head right now, Antonio Gandy-Golden. You should be wanting to play football on Fox on Sunday. This should be you, Antonio Gandy-Golden. But instead, we are cheated. You got plenty of time to go back to college, my man. You got plenty of contracts. Yes, you only had one catch during the regular season. But I put together this highlight reel to show how much more faith I had in you, Antonio Gandy-Golden. 73 seconds of Antonio Gandy-Golden. Yeah, and with that, we got that highlight reel of Antonio Gandy-Golden here. Dude, you had so much more potential. I had so much praise for you. When they picked you, I was like, man, coming out of Liberty, you look good out of Liberty, the Christian school, but I guess you need to go back and, do a little bit more praying. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to go anti, but at the same time, we needed you here. We needed you, man. And you just deserted us. It's kind of like when your dad, you find out who your dad is at 2 years old. You have a small relationship with him, takes you for ice cream, and he drops you back off, and no more relationship with dad because he's going back to school. You can't see him until he comes back in 4 years. Well, then you're 28 years old. Are you a Chris Wenke who can be another rookie all over again like 20 years ago when he came out for the Panthers, a 28-year-old rookie drafted? He can't be redrafted. But come on, man. You got 2 more years of school to finish, I think. Is it really worth it when you could really see what you got in NFL? I feel like you're wasting an opportunity when you should be going for it right now with another team like you said. Don't go to Dallas. Go like Green Bay or something. Go work with Aaron Rodgers, one of the greats. I feel like that would be a good move for you.
I think
That'd be someone great to work with who could teach you some other different things of your position from a different perspective.
No, I'm with you. I think that going to a place, if he gave himself an opportunity, say this team's going to cut him, because probably we're going to cut him anyway. I think you play with somebody like Aaron Rodgers, man. Like he makes receivers look good. You know how many trash receivers? I'm sorry to say this, but it's the truth. Trash receivers out there that got paid by Aaron Rodgers or get attention because of Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying Adams is. I think Devontae Adams is a really good wide receiver. But there are receivers that have made plays for the Green Bay Packers that aren't elite receivers. And Aaron Rodgers will make you look good. Somebody like that, Tom Brady or whoever. Guys who can make a receiver look better. I feel like Washington, unless you're like scary, Terry McLaurin, your receivers don't look as good because your quarterback play has been trash. So this is a situation where, to me, I don't think he should be judged. If I'm him, if he's judging himself on what he's done so far in the NFL, I wouldn't look at that. It's not a good barometer. Look at if I was somewhere else, could I be productive? And I think if he looks through that premise, then he would be okay. He would still try to stay in the league and just try to go to a situation where the quarterback play is 10 times better than what you've dealt with while, being here in Washington.
Yeah, that's definitely a good take. And with that, we do have some comments to acknowledge right here at the end, right before we go to the final word for the Mayhem culmination. Let's check this out. And here with the Mayhem culmination, the comments from the fans. Looks like we have one that's been continuously discussing throughout. He's been kind of stalking us here the past, I'd say, about 8 or 9 episodes. His name is The Chosen One. He found us on YouTube. And we left off with, we were talking about the bonus round, I guess, because he's talking about mega deal. I guess he's saying mega deal for both sides of that trade. Right. Nats still suck anyway.
I'm an Orioles fan, so you know what, man. The Chosen One. I'm not one to knock you. I'm kind of with you. They suck. But I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not gonna say the Nats still suck. I'm not gonna put all on the Nats. I will say this though. Davey Martinez, he sucks as a manager. I'm cool with saying that, and I don't care if he has. He's the Barry Switzer of managing. Put it that way.
I think I'm gonna go with this. He's an Orioles fan. I'm a Braves fan. We don't really care. We're just trying to be polite to the Washington, D.C. area to have a D.C. area segued show. So, yes, we don't actually care, Chosen One. So you're just fueling the fire right there with us coming back at you with really nobody cares. And with Miss Sandra Brown with this, too.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Because ain't nobody got time for that, Chosen One. Back to whatever comments you have after that. The Juan Soto wins 3 to 4 more in San Diego. I guess he's talking about championships because he was there for that one in Washington. You think that? Do you think that he's going to get 3 to 4 more rings?
It depends what the Dodgers do. I really believe that. It depends what the Dodgers do. I just think their team is just overall better. But I'll say this: when Tatis, when he He's going to have 2 more years. I don't know what they're going to do after. Well, I don't know. He has a good chance. He does. Because Tatis will be back next season. I think next season, this season, I don't think they will win a championship. I think next season, they're in prime situation with a championship. That lineup, just thinking about that lineup with Machado, Soto, Tatis, it's scary. It is. It's a scary unit, man. It really is. Like there's no excuse to not win games. And they still have Will Myers too. Yeah, there's no excuse to not win baseball games. Like winning at a high level. Like the Dodgers can't dominate that division for that long. Like they should be good enough to make sure that the Dodgers and they are competing for that first place spot. It can't be this big 15 game lead. You know what I mean? Like this has to be like when you get those guys on the field together, then they have to all produce at a high level. And I expect them to. And if they don't produce, if their team is not producing wins at a high level, then that's a manager situation that you got to get that situated.
Absolutely. I agree with that too. I mean, as a Braves fan, they're the reigning champs. Even I got to be realistic and say here, they got a good team this year, but they still got to go through the NL West. And I feel like the NL West, and not only that, but they got to go through their own division with the Mets. And the Phillies are right behind them for the wild card spot. So Mets are definitely, I feel like the Mets are going to be the one that wins the division, and the Braves are going to be getting a wild card this year. When it comes to the NL champion, I feel like it's going to come out of the West. It's going to be either the Dodgers or the Padres. I'll acknowledge what you're saying about the Dodgers and say I feel like they've got a good shot at winning, not just the World Series, but the actual National League. And so do the Padres. Those two are going to be facing off at some point in the playoffs.
Team? I
like the Mets team, but I feel like the toughness is going to come from the West. The Dodgers loaded up after losing last year because they won not too long ago, and they were kind of butthurt with losing last year with the Braves did. Now that they got Freddie Freeman and made that big pickup move, they're the ones that feel like they're the ones that are a step above to where they can win that NL. So it could be the Mets, but I feel like it's going to come out of the West this year, and especially with the Juan Soto deal, you got to acknowledge what the Padres made, not just on the offense, but in the bullpen too. And it with their bullpens,
they do. Their bullpen's one of the best bullpens in baseball. I like the Mets. I like their bullpen. I like the starters. You mean you got what's his name came back? Oh, I'm having a moment now. My God, the best pitcher, not Scherzer, but their best pitcher.
I'm drawing it too.
You know what I'm talking about? It's obvious. It's like what? It's their best pitcher. Why am I? He just came back. Oh, never mind. But you got it'll get to me later. It'll come to me later. Maybe one
put in the comments, fans, if you're still
please put in the comments. But when you have aces like that with Scherzer and the individual I'm trying to remember, like you're going to be in and an ace closer and Lugo, like you're going to be to me hard to beat. Especially and also, we talk about a bullpen. Nobody manages the bullpen. I don't care what era of baseball. He may not have a World Series, a championship, but Buck Showalter is awesome at managing the bullpen, especially in postseasons and whatnot. So I just think that team is in a position to do some real damage. You know what I mean? Like some real damage. I like them more. I like the Padres. I know Padres got Juan, but I like them more in terms of in baseball. We know this. We watched it for years. In the postseason, you can have all the guns in the world in terms of offensively speaking. But when you got them dogs at the top of the rotation, it's hard, man. It's hard to beat them in a series. You know what I mean? So when you have individuals like, Max Scherzer, what we've seen him do in the past, it's going to be tough.
So with the Padres, were you thinking of Hugh Darvish?
Not with a Darvish. I'm talking about the Mets. I'm thinking about the Mets starting pitcher. Not Darvish.
Oh, DeGrom. DeGrom is who you're talking about.
Thank you, Jacob DeGrom.
Yeah,
yes,
Jacob DeGrom. Yeah,
thank you, Jacob.
I was like,
so
for some reason there was a disconnect. I thought you were talking about Padres.
No, I was talking about the Mets.
Padres, and you were talking about Mets.
Thank you.
That's why we had And I was like looking up. I was like, was he talking about Hugh Darvish? No, and then when you said injury, I was like, it's got to be DeGrom. When you said Mets,
DeGrom. DeGrom. Sorry, DeGrom. Yes, DeGrom and and DeGrom throws 100 easy. It's smooth. He just came back. To me, he's the most dominant pitcher in baseball for the last couple seasons. And you match that with if Max Scherzer is your second best pitcher, you're scary. I don't care what it is. You're scary. You're scary. So now you know that in a series that your chances of winning 2 games in a row is pretty high. You know what I mean? It's pretty high. Like, and if you got that, then the pressure's on the other team. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't have the pitchers on the front of the rotation to deal with that type of combination, and I think and to me, the Dodgers do. You got Buehler, you got Kershaw. I mean, you got bodies for the Dodgers. The Dodgers have pitchers. But like the Padres, like DeGrom could shut down. I don't care if you Juan Soto. DeGrom could shut down Juan Soto. He's just that good. He could shut down. I'm an Orioles fan. I love Manny Machado. DeGrom could shut down Manny Machado. You know what I mean? Like, he can shut those dudes down. Scherzer, we've seen it, can shut those dudes down. We've seen the history of Max Scherzer.
I mean,
that's pressure.
DeGrom got the win when he came back. They lit the Braves up. I mean, this past weekend was not a fun series to watch.
I love the Braves
fans. So
the Braves are talented too. The Braves are a problem. Look, the Braves have that experience from last season, and that experience does a lot when you go into the postseason.
They got 7 games left against the Mets after this past weekend. But after what I just saw now in August against them, I'm giving the Mets their credit. I just feel like the Mets are going to win the division. Braves are going to get wild card, and the champion of the NL is going to come out of the West. I'm calling it now at the beginning.
It's going to be tough.
On August 8th, August 8, 2022, on our even number day at 8 o'clock is where we rocked at 8 o'clock. Yeah, either way, we're doing that today. So with that, we need to go to AG2. He says AG2, talk about Antonio Gandy-Golden, was underutilized.
Thank you, chosen one. I appreciate you. I think so too, man. I think you drafted him. I feel like you drafted him. You got to use him.
Facts. This show is doing better. I guess he means but. This show is doing better, but needs to make some improvements in topics less dead skins. Well, first of all, chosen one, we're calling them by their name. We're calling them the Commanders, so we're at least acknowledging it, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. But you need to calm down with that. We need to give you a hell no.
Hell to the no. To the no, 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 no. Hell no, no. To the no, no.
Not only that, I'm going to give you this.
Get the fuck out of here!
Wait, who's his team? I got to know the chosen one. Who's your football team?
Let's see. He might have put it.
It's got to be the Baltimore Ravens, I'm guessing.
He didn't say that. He gave us his baseball team here in a second. He does follow that up with Aaron Rodgers only cares about himself. Bad move for AG2. Stay gronked. Stay retired, I guess. Stay gronked. I haven't heard that one before.
Oh,
that's
man.
why I gotta go to Little John on this one.
What? What? Oh, hell no!
Holy shnikes.
Gotta give
Darrell loves the Green Bay Packers. Ask Darrell who is Lazard for real, and then tell me if AGG couldn't be as good as Lazard. for the Packers.
AG2 probably could. I kind of like him calling him AG2. AG2.
I like that too. I like it too. I'm not gonna lie.
Even though he kind of gets under my gears, and he's been kind of stalking here lately. It's kind of funny, but I'm just going to acknowledge it because it's funny. He's the only one comment at this point in the show. And this chosen one says the Mets suck.
You're not a Nats. He must not a Nats fan. I'm kind of by his answers. I'm trying to get who is his baseball.
Go Yankees.
There you go. That makes sense.
He's a Yankees fan, so he's probably a Giants fan.
Yeah, that makes sense. Go Yankees.
If he's giving so much crap on on our team. It doesn't matter, Yankees. Chosen one. We still, we're going to say what we want to say. This is our territory. You want to take that somewhere else? Start your own show. Talk about the Giants.
Judge is okay. Judge is good. Yankees every year the Yankees are supposed to do something, and every year they follow short. Judge is good. He's cool. I like Judge.
He's all right. He's all right. He's on pace to hit 60 home runs. So
he's having a great year, man. And he hits it in a small ballpark. He should have about 60 every year the way he hit home runs.
With that, we've definitely covered a good amount of topics. And with you saying with the amount of home runs he should hit in that stadium, I definitely agree with that. But boo on the Yankees. Boo on the Yankees. You take that somewhere else, chosen one. For that, you get one more of these. When I'm going to put this back up, when you get one more of these. that was a great way to end the show with the comments. We do have one more segment to go into, and that is the final word. Here with the final word, we basically, out of all the things we talked about, and all 6 topics that we discussed, or just anything in sports in general, what's on your mind, Wole? What do you got to get off?
Man, and just in terms of like football, man, we here. Football season's here. We just talked about Watson. We talked about the Commanders. You know, Ryan Kerrigan retiring. Antonio Gandy-Golden. But it's me as a individual who's covered the Washington Commanders. Man, football season's here, man. First preseason game goes down Saturday. Just excited, man. It's football. We here. You know what I'm saying? We here. All this speculation, talk, who's going to do what, it's going to happen on the field. I love it.
You know, with that, with the final word, you definitely took it in a great – but that game we had, that Hall of Fame game, was horrible.
I missed it. I'm not going to lie to you. I missed it. Was it bad?
Didn't miss anything. It's terrible.
Okay.
It was horrible.
But that's always the worst preseason game. That really is. Like, it really – because usually nobody plays, but – which is cool with me, though. I'm a dude that I want the individuals who are scrapping to play to make a team to play. Like, it's easy to say, like, let Aaron Rodgers play or whatever. I want to do when guys who don't have who aren't looked favorably in terms of the coaching staff, but once they play against another team or opposition, preseason or whatever, they ball out and they build their stock. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my final word basically goes back to the NL East. I guess I'll take it. I was talking a lot about the NL West in my last take, but with the Mets, they have a 6.5 game lead over the Braves in the NL East. So when you talk about how close the Phillies and how close the Padres are between those two, you know, and the Padres having the one up, you know, like we were talking about earlier. It's a neck and neck for that wild card. There's some cutthroat action between the Braves being up in there, the extra wild card spot. All that being said, you got 6.5 games back in NL East. My take is that if the Braves are going to make some action happen, they need to do it right now and they not be losing like they did to the Mets this past weekend. They were getting their asses painted. You know, if the Mets were painters, they were painting that ass on the Braves, and that's why I got to say that. So if you're talking all this big deal about the Mets, I got to give them their credit when it's due. I got to say awesome for the Mets. But when it comes to that, we do have one more thing that we have to acknowledge here. Very end of the In or Out Sports Debate, and that is the Vault of Fame. Wole Akinso is a 2-time Vault of Fame inductee here on the In or Out Sports Debate, joining this list right here at episode 31, which you can see him right here celebrating that he is in the Vault Fame. My man is
two
here
times.
Two times.
Can we get acknowledge me? Roman Reigns, acknowledge me.
Just acknowledge you right here.
Acknowledge me.
There it is, my man. There's your moment. There's your 2-time. You are in the Vault of Fame. Guys, here at the very end, don't forget you can check out the In or Out Sports Debate weeklies currently on Mondays and Tuesdays on all LegacyMaker Sports Network platforms, as well as SIRTOBA Media on the handles listed below. In or Out Sports Debate on Facebook, as well as the Instagram page, TikTok at InOrOut_SD, Twitter at InOrOut_SD, and Twitch at the In or Out Sports Debate. When it comes to the audio ones, you can check us out here on the Apple Podcast audio platform, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Google Podcast, Anchor.fm, and you can also download the episodes individually on iTunes. Back here for the In or Out Sports Debate, episode 31, for my man, Mr. Wole Akinso of the urban sports scene. I'm Drew Willingham. We only have one last thing to do, and that is one badass outro. Guys, take care out there in these streets. Thank you for checking out episode 31. Don't forget, episode 32 and 33 are tomorrow with the Golden Boy Greg Anthony starting it off for Double Debate Tuesday. Episode 32, 12:30 p.m. Central, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Cody Stewart joins tomorrow evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern as well. To that badass outro, Here we go.